presentation purposes only. Your microphone is automatically muted upon entry to avoid disruption. Let us start our program with a prayer to be followed by singing the Philippine National Anthem.
To God who left his kingly throne and made the earth his lowly home, to bow in death and power rise, in him believe and breathe new life. Where babe and beast met in the cave, from Mary's virgin womb he came, born from the Spirit, flesh appeared. Tremble not, Shalom, he is here. And we with beasts soon too will sing an everlasting song to him, swaddled in his pure covering. All glory to the King of Kings. Praise God from whom all blessings flow. Praise him, all creatures here below. Praise him above, you heavenly host. Praise Father, Son, and Holy Ghost.
Mga kababayan, ang pambansang awit ng Pilipinas.
Sa langit mo pagaw, ay tinatang tula.
our school administrators, headed by our President, Mr. Zacarias F. Quintin Sr., Vice President and School Principal, Mr. Zacarias A. Quintin Jr., Vice Principal of the High School Department, Mrs. Adelita A. de la Cruz, Vice Principal of the Preschool and Grade School Department, Mrs. Maria Victoria R. Cabuag, one of the speaker, Dr. Elmer de la Cruz, coordinators, teachers, parents, guardians, and pupils, a pleasant morning. Welcome to CS Parents Orientation on Implementation of Limited Face-to-Face Pilot Testing. The pandemic has produced new challenges, dilemmas, as well as opportunities in the delivery of education. As warriors, we were able to adapt effectively with these challenges. It has been 2 years, and given the situation right now, the Department of Education started implementing its plans to resume limited face-to-face classes for both public and private schools in low-risk areas. Corinthian School is one of the private schools in Valenzuela City to participate in the implementation of limited face-to-face classes. And with that, thorough planning and preparation is being done by the school. This orientation serves as an important part as we need to be well informed about this matter. Let me present to you our agenda for today's orientation. First, we have the operation framework and contingency plan. Second is the well-being and protection. Third, we have the focusing on teaching and learning for preschool and grade school department and high school department. And the last part will be the question and answer portion or clarifications. So reserve your questions. Our speakers will answer that after the discussion or the presentation of the agenda. To start with, to discuss to us the operation framework and contingency plan, let us lend our ears to our respected Vice President and School Principal, Mr. Zacarias A. Quintin Jr.
Good morning, everyone. Ipapasalamat po ako at napaunlakan niyo po ang aming imbitasyon sa ngayong araw. Napakahalaga po ang ating pagpupulong ngayong araw. Pag-uusapan po natin po yung plano po ng ating paaralan na makabalik po ang mga bata sa kanilang mga classrooms to conduct face-to-face learning and teaching po. So, as we all know, this is the second year of the pandemic, exactly March of 2020, no? And everyone was forced to stay at home. Na marami po nawalan ng trabaho. Medyo nahirapan po ang ating buhay po for the last 2 years. Ganun din po ang paaralan natin po. But Corinthian School made sure that we will adapt to these times, no? So we actually implemented the distance learning modality. So lahat po tayo ay natutong mag-online. Unprecedented po. Naiintindihan po ng paaralan po yun na hindi po natin na-expect na biglaan po tayong magiging online lahat sa ating engagement, sa ating pakikipag-usap sa ating mga teachers, sa ating mga classmates. Unprecedented po. Naiintindihan po ng paaralan po yun. Ngayon po, 2 taon po na nakakaraan at we still see the need that the children should be reintegrated to face-to-face. Dahil naniniwala rin po ang paaralan na ang online will still be here for the next years. At nakita rin po ng paaralan ang benefits ng online. Nagiging efficient po. But hindi po ready po ang community or even everyone, no, sa biglaang pagiging online. Kailangan po pacing po until we adapt and until we feel comfortable in doing online in everything, no? So this coming March 21 mahigit po ay pinaplano po ng paaralan to conduct the face-to-face pagbabalik po ng ating mga mag-aaral sa ating silid-aralan. At naniniwala po yung paaralan na hindi po madali sa ating mga magulang, no? Hindi po madali tanggapin ang pagbabalik ng paaralan sa face-to-face. That's why we actually send out a survey form, a Google form na I believe nasagutan po ng iba. Kung sino po yung may gusto, sino pa yung willing po na to participate in this pilot program face-to-face, at natanggap na namin po karamihan po survey. But before that, we will discuss the frameworks of how this face-to-face pilot program will go on and will affect our daily lives dealing with the face-to-face learning modality. So objective po natin today is for the stakeholders, the parents, the teachers, to understand that this is a shared responsibility. Ibig sabihin po, hindi lang po paaralan ang gagawa ng mga paraan upang maging safe at maging viable po ang programang ito. Ito po ay kinakailangan ng participation, ng pag-aayon ng ating mga magulang. At sa ating kaguruan ay kailangan makapag-adapt sila ng mas mataas na antas na pagtuturo at demand. So it is a shared responsibility based on the UNICEF context of safe opening of our schools during this pandemic time. So mga frameworks po na nabanggit po kaninang MC natin is number 1 is the safe operation. Dito po ay ilalatag po yung ano mga ginawang paraan ng ating paaralan upang masigurong safe ang ating mga anak, ang ating mga co-workers, ating mga teachers, at ang ating mga visitors sa ating paaralan. Ito yung mga paraan na ilalahad ng paaralan under this safe operation. And the second pillar is the teaching and learning, kung saan po ilalahad po ng ating mga academic supervisor ang ating programa sa pagtuturo, kung paano natin ito gagawin, kung paano natin ma-i-include ang lahat ng bata, even yung mga hindi pa ready at hindi pa tanggap ang ating pagbabalik, ang ating school programs and schedules ng ating mga subjects ay di-discuss din po dito. At yung pangatlong pillar po ay yung inclusion nga po ng mga most marginalized. Ibig sabihin po ito yung mga vulnerable na kailangan natin kaagapay, tulad po ng core intent ng Department of Education that no one is left behind. So even if it's even if it's financial, mental, or physical challenges, no one is left behind. So i-discuss po doon yung mga paraan din po ng paaralan. Ano-ano ang pwede namin gawin upang lahat ay maging kasama sa programang ito. And the fourth framework is the well-being and protection. Kung paano po tayo mapoproteksyonan, kung paano po tayo mapangalagaan ng ating well-being while doing this program of the pilot face-to-face of the Department of Education. Alam niyo po, among the private school, Christian school is the only school that is applying for this, and we should make the community understand that we are doing this not for the sake of experimentation or testing for the community, but to adapt early, because we believe that this will be the better normal for the next school year. We will offer 4 modalities, which is the face-to-face, which is 100% po pupunta yung mga bata. Yung po yung old normal natin. We will also offer a blended, which kung saan po yung pwedeng pumunta yung mga bata on a scheduled laboratory works, and basically it is still online for everything else. And the third modality, which is the hybrid, kung saan po ito po yung inclusive na program natin for the next school year. If you prefer to be still online next year, pwede po yun. But if you prefer to join and participate sa face-to-face this coming school year, ay maaari din po yun. Ibig sabihin po, magkakaroon po yung pagtuturo ang ating mga teachers ng sabay-sabay na merong naka-online at meron din naka face-to-face. Live po yun. Ibig sabihin, hindi po kayo hinihiwalay, walang iniiwan po in case na piliin nyo po yung online, ay kasabay nyo rin po ang klase ng nandito. Live po yun, kaya wala pong maiiwan. Then, before we proceed, yung steering committee na bumuo po nito ay ang tinatawag natin implementing committee. Early on the pandemic po, ay the Valenzuela Workers Affairs Office ay naatasan din upang siguraduhin ang lahat po ng workplace ay merong health and safety committee. So 2 years ago na po meron na po tayong committee na tumutugon sa mga pangangailangan ng ating mga workers o ating mga personnels while all the children is online. But this time, it will still be implemented on the context of DepEd's memorandum of the program of the pilot program for the face-to-face learning. So the implementing committee is composed of the stakeholders, the school doctor, I myself, the principal. Sila po yung naatasa magplano po lahat ng 4 na frameworks na nabanggit po natin kanina. At sila po yung bumuo ng buong program po ng paaralan para maaprubahan at alalayan po ng DepEd ang ating programa nito. So, una-una po ginawa ng steering committee po natin ay to collect data. We understand the data privacy law. So lahat po ng mga data na nakakalap po namin will be used accordingly, and it will not be shared to non-participants of the program. So number 1 is the perception and the readiness survey. Yes, na padala na po namin lahat yon at I think nakasagot na po kami, nakasagot na kayo. So let me remind that everyone who said yes sa survey that they would like to participate in this program ay hindi a waiver so you can read para maging informed po tayo. It's an informed consent form po yon para tuluyan po kayong maliwanagan kung ano po yung mga responsibilities po natin pag nag-participate po tayo. So sa national and local government agency and their focal persons, kinalap po ng steering committee para sa ating referral system because aside from the program of the classroom and all the safety features of the school, ay may referral system po tayo. Ibig sabihin po nito, ito yung pag-gather ng data kung sino po yung may sakit at sino po yung wala at kung sino po yung kailangan i-advise to stay at home. Yun po yung tinatawag na referral system that is shared with the local government units, the focal agencies of the LGU. And ginather po rin namin ang mga contact details ng mga ating estudyante at yung household po. So, in-update po natin yung mga data po nyo. So, yung mga hindi pa na po nakapag-update mga telephone numbers that those who would like to join the program, ay i-update po natin yung contact numbers ninyo, yung address ninyo, at kung sino po yung assigned guardian po sa household ninyo. So, yun po, ikakalapin po natin yun. And the last data that we have collected is the vaccination status of the personnel of the school. I believe that the school has 100% vaccinated personnel, from teachers to our maintenance personnel. I myself and all the supervisors are all vaccinated. At ngayon po kasalukuyan karamihan ay nasa booster shots na ang phase nila. So more than that, we will update the data on this regarding new requirements for the vaccination or shots that will be needed in the long run. So next will be the assigned framework na sinasabi sa akin that I am assigned to discuss the operational framework. Number 1, safe operation. Okay, so everyone should be informed on what the school will be doing and will be building in regards to the safety of our children. First, our personal protection sa ating mga bisita, sa ating mga mag-aaral, sa ating mga personnel, sa ating mga teachers, everyone is required to wear mask. So whatever the alert level will be having, SOP na po yung mask natin. So ang minimum po is a 3-ply surgical mask, and recommended is the K or the N95 rated mask. So if you plan for the visitors, if you plan to visit the school, ito po yung requirement po ng eskwelahan para mapapasok tayo. It is the recommended personal safety equipment for the visitors and everyone inside the campus. So, for the faculty, learners, staff, visitors, ito po yung required nating mask, okay? So, in addition to that, sa physical facility or implements, alam po natin marami pong toilet yung paaralan. Bawat floor, may toilet po tayo, may washroom tayo. The elementary building, in each floor, we have washrooms. And the junior high school, meron din po. And sa senior high school, meron din po in every floor. In addition to that, we will utilize a movable or a mobile sink. Kung napapansin nyo po, may nakikita nyo yan sa mga furniture shop. Meron po mga aluminum sink na mobile po. Maglalagay po tayo sa strategic places noon para kasama po yun sa mga pwede nating magamit every time we are reminded of the importance of washing our hands. The next is the hands-free. Sorry for that, tumanda po yung bumbero natin. Okay, the next, we have a hands-free hand sanitizer, the digital temperature checker. So, sa bawat area po, workplace and also classrooms, we will utilize one per set, no? Or one per room. One per section, one per room assigned for this coming program. Magkakaroon po tayo ng hands-free hand sanitizer. So para anytime that you feel like sanitizing your hand, meron po tayo sa classroom nun. So bawat isang classroom, meron po tayo. The next is acrylic barriers. Well, during the 2 years of this pandemic, barriers were really used, no? In our offices, in our classrooms that were being used by our teachers. May mga barriers po sa computer laboratory during this pandemic where our teachers are holding their classes. May mga barriers po ang bawat workspace. So this time we will still use it, but we will not use it individually for the students in their seats. That will be used by the teacher. Nasa teacher's table lang po yun. That is to prevent yung projectile po para ma-prevent po yung airflow ng ating mga speaker sa harap. So doon lang po natin gagamitin yan at sa mga offices po. Then we have school clinic and another additional room that will be supplementary to our school clinic. It is what we call isolation room. But we are advised that we should not call this isolation room. Meron daw konotasyon na hindi maganda. So, sasabihin na lang natin, waiting lounge. Yan. Para mas maganda. So, there's a school clinic and an isolation room. Yung school clinic po natin is being managed by the school doctor and being run by a school nurse. Sila po yung nagmamanage po ng referral system po natin. So, every time may papasok sa gate at meron pong na-detect na medyo mataas po yung temperature, ang protocol po nun ay dadalhin po sa isolation room. It is the room nearest to the gate at doon po siya maghihintay while the nurse is verifying the data on the temperature. Kung ma-confirm na medyo mataas po yun, ay tatawagan po yung mga magulang ng ating school nurse. And also, we have the isolation room. Ito po yung sasabi nating waiting lounge. Dito po dadalhin naman po pag na-detect yung na medyo may flu-like symptom yung ating learner, ay doon po dadalhin doon. Equip po yun ng bed, a separate toilet, and the personnel assigned in that room na naka-PPE. So we have two rooms, the school clinic and the isolation room. Now, during the regular day of the face-to-face, regarding the school gate, the foot traffic and the signages, yung yung gate po natin ay pagkakaroon ng separate ingress and egress. Ang objective po natin dito ay hindi po sila magkakasalubong. No? Aside sa hindi magkakasalubong, meron po schedule po yan susundin. So there will be a different ingress and egress area for the gate. The drop-off and the pick-up area, kasama po ng common and waiting area, that would be off limits, I believe. And mga kailangan po maghintay at magsundo po will be allowed only 10 minutes before the scheduled time. So para maiwasan po natin yung convergence sa waiting area at sa pickup area. Then there's the signages that could help everyone, the visitors, the students, teachers, the directional signs that is on the floor to show the direction of the traffic flow inside the campus. Everyone is required to follow the arrows. Nobody is allowed to loiter. Ibig sabihin, hindi po pwede sila mag-deviate sa traffic flow. May mga arrows na nagsasabi kung saan yung exit natin, kung saan papuntang toilet, kung saan papunta yung ating mga classroom. Susundin po lahat natin yon to prevent the common areas ng tao po. There are also protocols for authorized visitors po. Visitors basically are encouraged to do business online. For the last 2 years, na-implement na school natin po yun. We request documents, we pay online. What else? Those mga kailangan lang po ng ating physical appearance ay this time we should set an appointment para ma-expect po ng guard yung ating pakay sa paaralan. So the other protocols is still included for the visitors. Sa ating screen nakikita natin yung mga signs. Actually kulang po yan. But those are the signs that will be used during this program all over the campus. It says there the entrance, the exit, and some of them are reminding us the 3 important health protocol: wash hands, physical distancing, and always mask up. Practice social distancing. So yun po yung mga signages na kailangan nire-require po na sa paaralan upang we will always be reminded everywhere you will look, makibabasa po natin yun. And the directional signs for the foot traffic should be included there. Okay, campus disinfection and sterilization and waste management. We will require the sanitation of all contact surfaces every day after classes. So you are assured that lahat po ng contact surfaces ng ating mga anak, sa ating mga silya, sa ating armchairs ay madidisinfect yan ng paaralan every day, every after classes. So pagpasok natin bukas uli ay alam natin na disinfected yan. So we will use the 70% required isopropyl proof, and we also have the UV light sterilization machine. Meron po kaming makina siya. Iniilawan po yung buong kwarto ng UV rays. It is actually dangerous para sa tao, but that is being done pag sarado na po yung building. Iniisa-isahin po yung kwarto para pailawan po ng UV light para yung mga hindi na namatay sa ating pag-disinfect sa mga contact surfaces ay siguradong mawawala po sa UV light po natin. So, yun po yung mga kasama po nating provisions. No? Sa ating mga trash bins and trash collectors, they will be assured that they will be wearing protective gloves para sa ating mga sinasabing biohazard na waste. Lalong-lalo sa school clinic at sa isolation room. Everyone, kasi kung yung waste management natin ay hindi silyado at hindi sapat ang proteksyon, that could that could infect, no? Baka may makahawak pa nun, ay delikado po yun. So it is not only for our personnel but also for everyone inside the campus. So that's why waste management should be managed well. So balik po tayo sa classroom setting, the safe occupancy ng ating bawat classroom. So alam na po natin sa gate, mache-check po natin yung well-being ng bata sa ma-alcohol, masasanitize sa kanilang mga kamay. Pagdating sa kwarto ay masasanitize uli sila, mate-temperature check. Just to make sure na lahat ng nakapasok sa gate, pagdating sa destination nila, ay walang na-miss yung pag-check ng ating temperature. Then, pagdating sa loob ng classroom po, yung space po ng classroom po natin, as ang capacity po ng isang classroom na lang po ngayon should be 50% of the original capacity. So sa preschool po, we have a 25 square meter learners papasukin sa loob. 6 square meter room, good for 26 children. Ang ngayon po ay 13 to 14 na lang po ang pwede nating papasukin sa bawat classroom na elementary. The junior high school, we have 36 square meter. Also, for the 28 population originally, now it will reduce to 15. The senior high school has 38 square meter, a larger room with a capacity of also 28 persons. Now, 15 na lang po rin papapasukin. For the laboratory, we have a 38 square meter, good for 20. Ngayon po ay magiging 10 na lang pwede na gumamit sa loob. And the library, which is around 45 square meter, ang pwede na lang pumasok ay 15 na lang po at a time. So, bakit po kinakalahati po natin ang population sa bawat classroom? Because we have to make sure that the seats inside will be distance minimum of 1 meter sa harap nila, on the side at the back. At para magkaroon puro ng traffic flow sa loob. Kasi pati sa loob ng classroom ay meron traffic flow rin po. Because the classroom has 2 doors, one entrance and exit. Wala po salubungan. So the traffic flow will dictate which entrance and exit to use. Also the classroom, alam po natin na air condition yung paaralan po natin. At this time, the DepEd says, mas maganda kung wala. So we will not use the air conditioners. We will only have the electric fans, the ceiling fans for the heat dissipation, para hindi naman po masyadong mainit. And just to make sure that the air inside the classroom will not be stale and will keep on moving. No? So para kampante po tayo. So that is the safe space occupancy of our classroom. Now we have a contingency plan for whatever scenarios that should arise during the school days under this face-to-face program. But we have summarized this to a shorter version so everyone can understand. Para doon sa mga targeted participants po na ang mga magulang at yung household po ang i-discuss po natin. So yung scenario number 1 is a person manifest flu-like symptom upon entry at the gate. Yung tao po ay na-detect na mataas yung temperature or may flu-like symptom sa gate pa lang. So kung learner po siya, yung tinatawag po natin person dito, ang sinasabi dito is he or she will be immediately isolated. So dadali siya sa isolation room, darating yung ating school nurse to verify the temperature, then tatawagan po yung mga magulang nito. Papauwiin po siya. So while waiting, the school will be attending to the child and also coordinate the data with the barangay health emergency response team. Well, under an emergency, especially health emergency, the schools or other institutions are required to share this data to the LGU. This time it is the Barangay Health Emergency Response Team. For their proper actions, kung anong meron pa kailanganin ng LGU, we have to share the data with them. Okay, so pag uwi po siya, ay i-remind siya na kung gusto nila magpa-test, ay magpa-test sila. If not, may requirement na quarantine period bago sila makabalik, para makabalik sa paaralan. Kung personnel po, kung worker po natin siya, yung sinasabi rito ay i-isolate din po siya sa gate pa lang. Tapos the school nurse will verify because that's the main duty of our nurse, to verify the status of the personnel and the learners. And he or she will be sent home. Papauwiin din po siya. Ganon din po yun, ilalag yung incident ng school nurse, and this will also be shared with the BHERT for the proper action or data collection. Now, i-monitor po ng paaralan yung condition ng personnel and learner habang nasa bahay, kung nag-develop po siya ng symptoms or nagpa-test siya. Either way, under the alert level 1, you can only return to work or be readmitted after a certain quarantine period. So, nakalagay po dito ay 10 days minimum bago po tayo ma-readmit in case we are asymptomatic. Now, if you opted to test yourself and nag-negative po kayo, then you can be readmitted immediately. So, number 2 scenario is the person manifests flu-like symptoms during class or work hours. Kaya po mayroon tayo mga digital temperature checker sa bawat classroom is to actually monitor the entire stay of the learners inside the campus kung magde-develop tayo ng symptoms. So randomly, the teachers and the students are enjoined to at least be aware of their classmates or other personnel or teachers if you can observe them that they are not looking good or feeling well. So pag na-check po during hours, class hours, ito po yung contingency po ng paaralan. He or she will be isolated immediately. And the school nurse also verifies the information, the condition of the student or the worker. Then, papauwi po siya, tatawagan po yung magulang. At ganoon din po yun, isi-share po ng paaralan po sa Barangay Health Emergency Response Team. Then, pag sa bahay po, ipomonitor po ng school kung magpapatest yung bata. Either way, kung hindi siya nagpa-test, ganoon din po yun, 10 days po siya na hindi siya makakabalik. But if he chooses to have a test, immediately kung negative, makakabalik din po siya. So we're just talking here the flu-like symptoms from the gate or while inside the classes. So it goes the same with the personnel. Pag natagpuan na hindi maganda ang kanyang pakiramdam, ay papauwi din po siya. I-isolate muna, i-verify for data collection ng ating nurse. Then i-share sa BERT, sa Barangay Health Emergency Response Team, then papauwiin po siya. Then i-monitor po siya sa bahay, tatawagan po siya kung nagpa-test siya. Kung hindi, 10 days din po yun. It's the same, no? Bago siya makabalik. Now, paano kung nag-positive yung bata or ating personnel? Person tested positive. Siyempre, hindi po yan na-detect sa school kasi ang testing na sa bahay na po siya. At natagpuan lang siya with flu-like symptom. Ito po yung senaryo kung yung nasa bahay po na pinauwi ay nag-positive siya. So kung bata po ay nag-positive, i-update ko lang po yung what's on the screen. The DepEd advised that we should follow zero tolerance. Ibig sabihin, pag may nag-positive po, personnel or bata po, the school shuts down. So I have to correct that what's on the screen. No? So everyone is affected pag isa lang. Originally, because nakalagay dyan, kailangan dalawa pa ata, or I think, but the Department of Education advised us that zero tolerance tayo, even if it's under alert level number 1. Pag nagkaroon ng COVID ang isang bata o isang personnel, the school will shut down until ma-verify yung case, until ma-verify yung mga close contacts niya dito sa school or yung close contact ng mga workers dito sa school. That's the only time na makakapagbukas uli yung school. And during that time, automatically, we will all shift again back to online transactions and online classes. That's why maganda po itong ginagawa natin because we have been doing online for so long, for 2 years, and we will add this program. Madali tayo mag-adapt kahit anong mangyari. Mag-shutdown yung school, alam na natin gagawin natin. Magbukas yung school, ito po yung didiscuss po natin ngayon. Okay, that's the scenario if the person is tested positive. Paano kung isa sa mga kasama natin sa bahay, members of the household tested positive on a manifest a flu-like symptom? So ganun din po yun, the parent will inform, just like the person tested positive, it is the responsibility of the parent or the household to inform immediately the school so the school can act accordingly, especially for the contact tracing dahil may mga naging close contact yan mahalaga. But this time, if the household member manifests flu-like symptom, the learner is advised not to come to school. Stay at home lang muna siya, no? I-encourage siya na mag-test. If not, ganun din po yun. Magka-quarantine din po siya ng 10 days or until ma-identify yung flu-like symptoms kung talagang COVID or not. But basically, it's a 10-day quarantine period before a worker or a learner can go back to school or to our campus. But kung nagpa-test siya at negative, immediately makakabalik po siya sa school. Now, the next is the person is identified as close contact while in class or work. This is related to the person being positive. Malamang may mga katabi siya nung na-test sa positive. So, kung na-identify siya close contact ng isang case, ng isang positive case, i-isolate din siya and the school nurse contacts parents to fetch. Papasundo na po siya. He will be sent home and notify that a particular student got positive results or a worker got a positive result at siya po ay nakikitang katabi or positive or close contact, that's why papauwiin po siya. So, pag siya close contact, papauwiin po siya kagad on that day. Then the next day, shut down yung school. Magsasara po ang school because yun nga, i-update po natin, basta nagkaroon ng positive case, it's a zero tolerance for COVID-19. Magsasara po yung school and everything will revert back to online teaching and online transactions. The next is the learners who will be affected by infection, isolation, and quarantine will be closely monitored and may be provided with support on academic depending on the isolation, duration, and severity of infection by shifting to distance learning. So lahat po part of the inclusiveness is pag yung bata po or yung yung ating mga anak ay suspected case at napauwi po siya, pagka-quarantine po siya for certain days. At even for a positive case, eventually, we will provide academic support. We have experienced this for the last 2 years that we have encountered positive cases amongst our online learners. So, ina-assist po ng school yun para hindi po siya mahuli because hindi po natin alam yung severity, baka asymptomatic lang yung bata and he can actually function para it is also for his mental health, no? Para maalala yan sa kanyang academics at hindi siya mahuli sa klase, sa lessons. So, the next is while face-to-face classes are conducted, learners and all school personnel, advisors, and subject teachers will share responsibility and vigilance on well-being of persons in campus and classroom. Ito po sabi po natin na lahat po tayo ay shared responsibility. Yung mga katabi po natin, yung teacher natin, yung mga guard natin, kung napapansin natin that they're not looking very well, pwede natin siya tanungin or i-share para ma-check properly. No? Kasi hindi po natin pwedeng i-relegate ng detection sa school itself or the school personnel, but also everyone inside the classes. No? So, pag sinundan po natin is, number one, the early morning health inspection shall be conducted routinely, starting by the gate. Sa gate pa lang po, ulitin po natin, 3 kagad ang kukunin sa'yo.
Ginagawa pa.
Details, temperature check, and disinfecting your hands, no? Pagdating sa learner, pagdating sa classroom, sabi nga natin, makikita natin may distansya yung mga teachers natin, open window tayo, electric fan lang, may traffic signs sa floor to indicate the entrance and exit. And also, the teacher and the homeroom advisor will check again the temperature of each student coming in. So, 2 beses na po sila check-in. Sa campus lockdown po natin, nagsabi ko na kanina, no? If the incident is under the campus is located on a national LGU identified area or barangay with high infection incidents or on a declared restrictive quarantine lockdown status, sigurado po magsasara po ang paaralan. Campus closes and all classes shifts to online or distance learning using our current LMS, and all transactions will be done online. Kailan magbubukas? Pag nag-lift po yung quarantine na sinasabi na yon, pag nai-lift po sa alert level na pwedeng buksan uli yung paaralan, which is alert level 1, bubukas uli yung paaralan. So automatic po yun pag sinabi ni ating presidente or ng IATF that the alert level will be imposed and schools are not permitted to open, automatic po yun, sasara po tayo. So doon sa i-update po natin, nakalagay, ito sasabi po namin dito, na pina-update ng DepEd. Nakalagay dito, 3 or more persons tested positive. Ngayon po, isa lang po mag-positive. The campus will shut down and shift automatically to online. Kailan magbubukas? After the assessment of all close contacts na siguradong safe na sila at hindi sila nagka-COVID. That's the only time na makakapagbukas ulit yung school. Okay? Orientation of the stakeholder. This is actually the orientation for the stakeholders, and everyone who are attending here actually received the survey and answered positively, and some of them actually invited also para ma-clarify yung mga issues or apprehensions natin na iisip sa programang papatupad ng paaralan ngayon. Next is the workforce and workplace management plan and the prevention and control of COVID-19. So based on the Valenzuela City, we have actually complied with the new normal for the Workplace Act of 2020. It's a city ordinance na pinatupad noong 2020. Ito po yung nabanggit po namin na natupad na ng paaralan to make sure that the workers or the personnel inside the campus during this online setup are safe. So ngayon po, ang ginagawa pa natin ay dinadagdagan po natin para sa mga bata rin po. Now, i-discuss ko po yung informed consent na napadala sa inyo. Some of them napadala na po sa inyo yung iba hindi pa na-receive, pero definitely papadala po natin ito at para mapirmahan niyo po, because this is a survey po natin. It is not enough to say yes, but you also have to read the consent para maintindihan po natin kung ano yung pinapasok po natin, no? Can we share the informed consent form para mabasa ng ating mga magulang? Okay, yan na. Palakihin lang natin para mabasa natin. Okay, we'll read the duration. The duration, the pilot face-to-face classes will be held. Tentatively, we are targeting March 21, and it will run for 1 to 2 weeks, depending on the DepEd's approval. But again, we are the only private schools going to implement this program at this time. That's why the Department of Education is in full support of Corinthian School. Hindi nila akalain na we will be the first at kailangan natin maalalayan ng community in this transition. Mahirap na po ma'am na magmadali po tayo pagdating ng pangangailangan. So ngayon pa lang, the community should be assisted to make them understand what this face-to-face program will be for the coming 2 weeks from now. The benefits of this ay nakalagay sa ating form ay this activity will address difficulties of learners in learning independently through pure distance learning and lack of access to technology and household resources. Moreover, our learners will benefit in the future from the information from this activity. The benefit ay mababanggit din sa inclusiveness natin mamaya sa pillar number 4, which is the inclusion of all marginalized. So we intend that everyone will be included and no one will be left behind. That's why sasabi natin kung hindi pa kayo ready sa face-to-face, ay hindi kayo may iwan because we will provide an online platform for you. Kasabay po ng face-to-face. And that's what we call the hybrid or high-flex modality. Confidentiality. Any information that will be given during the activity will be kept strictly confidential, and personal information will be treated in accordance with the Data Privacy Act of 2012. Be assured that information about you or your child will not be shared outside of the implementation team. The participant's name will not be used when data from this activity will be analyzed. So everyone is assured that when we share data, it is in accordance with the Data Privacy Law of 2012. So wala tayong apprehensions in regards with our personal data being shared. It is between the LGU and the school only. Voluntary participation. Participation in this activity is voluntary. You and your child will decline to participate or to withdraw from participation at any time for any reason. So wala pong pilitan. Ang sabi po ng consent letter na to, it is actually going back to the benefits it claimed that we will be ready by the time we need this modality to be seamless and fluid. We will be protected when we were inside the classroom. So yun po yung mga benefits natin na sinasabi na pwedeng ino-offer ng school. But still, it is voluntary. If hindi nyo kailangan, kung nakita nyo na hindi talaga para sa inyo, ay pwede kayong umatras anytime. Exclusion, limitation, or ineligibility. In accordance with the health and safety protocols, children with existing comorbidity should not participate in the implementation of limited face-to-face learning modality. Children who tested positive of COVID-19 or have household members who have tested positive shall follow the required quarantine consistent with the latest national guidelines on return to work. So, ganun din po yun. Sa exclusion po ay pag may comorbidity yung ating anak, ay hindi po siya sa ngayon pwede. Because this is a pilot testing for the face-to-face. So, pag may comorbidity, that's the time you can refuse or decline even if you would like to join. Huwag na natin po muna sila isasalin. That's sa online muna po sila. Also, for the tested positive cases for the learners and the household members, nabanggit na po natin sa scenario that you have to follow certain quarantine periods. Otherwise, you can still join. Basta may mga quarantine period na susunod based on the quarantine scenarios I have mentioned earlier. So risk and consent waiver, ito po yun, pinaka-waiver. The first part is the informed section. So pipirmahan niyo po yun as the parent of legal guardian of the name of the student. I hereby acknowledge that I have been informed of the details of the conduct of pilot implementation of the face-to-face learning modality. I understand that the CS shall implement the minimum public health standards which we have discussed regarding sa facilities for our safety and health inside the campus. But it cannot guarantee that my child will not become infected with COVID-19 given that the COVID-19 is highly contagious. So ito po yung kailangan nyo mabasa paulit-ulit po. No? Despite that the school have complied with all the health protocols and complied with the IATF and the DepEd requirements of the facility to provide safe workplace or classrooms, there's still a chance na magkakaroon po ng COVID yung ating anak. May impact because hindi pa ho tapos yung ating pandemic. Okay, that should be understood, no, before we sign the consent. But alam po natin na ginagawa po natin to, it is because it is already under alert level number 1, which is manageable and predictable na po ang ating infection sa community. Okay? I understand that my child or children in person attendance at school will include associating with teachers, fellow learners, and school personnel, and other persons inside and outside the class of the school that may put my child at risk of COVID-19 transmission, notwithstanding the precautions undertaken by the school. So patuloy rin pong ibig sabihin, despite the readiness of the school, compliance and approval by the LGU for us to open and offer this face-to-face learning modality, alam po natin na makakasalamuhan ng ating mga anak physically ang ating mga kaklase, ang kanyang mga klase, ang kanyang mga teachers, ang kanyang mga sundo. So the risk is being again informed that the risk is still there. I am aware that symptoms of COVID-19 include but are not limited to fever, or chills, cough, shortness of breath, or difficulty breathing, fatigue, muscle or body aches, etc., sore throat, congestion of runny nose, nausea, vomiting, and diarrhea. Well, just enumerating the possible symptoms of the COVID-19. I confirm that my children currently has none of those symptoms na nabanggit po and is in good health. I will not allow my child to physically go to school to attend class if my child or any member of my household develops any of the symptoms or any symptoms of illness that may or may not be related to COVID-19. Balikan po natin yung contingency scenario kanina. This is regarding your child or any member of your household na magkakaroon po ng symptoms, ay hindi natin papapasukin na muna yung bata at i-inform yung ating paaralan immediately. I will also inform the school and not allow my child or children to attend face-to-face classes if my child or children or any of the household tested positive. So, ganun din po yun. So, kung pag nag-test ng positive, inform po natin sila. To the extent allowed by law and rules, I hereby agree to waive, release, and discharge any of all claims, causes of action, damages, and rights against the school and its personnel, as well its official and personnel of the Department of Education relative to the conduct of the activity. Ito pa yung waiver of consent na sinasabi sa bandang huli, na that the parents will release any liability or accountability or claims, causes of action, and rights against any personnel of the school, official, and also the personnel and official of the Department of Education. So, with full understanding, on behalf of myself, my household member, and my children, hereby freely and voluntarily give my consent to my children's participation in this activity from date to date. So yun po yung laman po ng ating informed consent form that you should read again and try to understand the accountabilities and the participation of the stakeholders with this current program that we are trying to initiate this coming March 21. So on your part, as parents, makikita po natin yung accountability po natin dito at yung kailangan natin maintindihan, matanggap kung sakali na kailangan natin sumali sa face-to-face. So again, this is basically voluntary. After reading the consent, we will email this to all the parents who will sign, who are interested, who answered yes in our survey. This will be sent to you. Either you will sign this or not, it is purely voluntary, ma'am. But if you say yes, then you will be included in the class program of this coming face-to-face modality, distance learning modality on March 21. So siguro yun na nga yun. So maraming salamat po. And some questions will be entertained at the last part of this program or of this talk para mas maliwanagan po natin lahat kung saan po tayo hindi nakasabay o may any clarification regarding on any provisions that I have mentioned. At the last part of the program, we will entertain your question and answer. So maraming salamat po sa inyong lahat, sa oras na ibinigay niyo po ngayong araw. Maraming salamat po.
Thank you so much, Sir June, for that informational talk. And to introduce our next speaker for today, who will talk about well-being and protection. Once again, here is our CS Vice President and School Principal, Mr. Zacarias A. Quintin Jr.
Okay, one of the member of the board of trustees is Dr. Nelly de la Cruz. Isa po siya sa miyembro ng mga trustees ng ating paaralan at siya po yung tumatalakay pagdating sa health aspects ng ating paaralan, especially during this pandemic time. Siya po yung nagbibigay ng anumang impormasyon na kakailanganin po natin. Now, with this coming implementation of the pilot face-to-face, siya rin po yung nagbibigay ng mga karagdagang kaalaman on a medical point of view. It is that we are lucky that we have a member of the board of trustees. Unfortunately, she cannot be with us today at may previous kailangan attenan sa kanyang profesyon. But we have today her husband, Dr. Elmer de la Cruz. Dr. Elmer de la Cruz is an ENT specialist. He is also the chairman of the Department of Otorhinolaryngology of the Manila Doctors Hospital. He is one of our heroes. He is a frontliner from the start of this pandemic. Hindi po siya nawala bilang isang doktor, ay tumugon siya sa kanilang profession. So let us welcome Dr. Elmer de la Cruz.
Maraming salamat, Sir Zach, and good morning, everyone. So I'm speaking on behalf of my wife, Nelly de la Cruz. Medyo busy lang po siya, and I will be discussing well-being and protection for Corinthian School. This is just a reiteration of what was discussed earlier in detail by Sir Zach, but dealing more in detail sa ating medical health protocols. So, i-enumerate ko lang po yung mga campus health protocols natin, and this has been discussed by my wife Nelly with with the school authorities Corinthian. So in order to ensure safety and health among all the stakeholders of this school, not only the learners, but also our teachers as well. So learners are fully vaccinated. Only learners that are fully vaccinated will be allowed to participate in our face-to-face classes, as well as visitors. Lahat po ng papasok sa campus for protection of everybody in the campus. There will be health declaration, katulad po ng nangyayari sa mga malls at saka lahat ng establishment po. Dito po sa atin, there will be temperature check, vaccination cards will be checked as well, and contact details for contact tracing sa entrance gate pa lang ng ating institution. Of course, wearing of mask in the campus is necessary at all times. Yung mga personnel po who are tasked in relation to health will be wearing gloves and face masks and shields as well. There will be reinforcement of frequent hand washing and disinfection, at meron po tayong mga signages all throughout the school. And in order to prevent transmission of the virus, there will be physical distancing, and as prescribed, it will be at least 1 meter apart sa mga seating arrangement po natin sa school. And as such, there will be 50% occupancy sa classroom, laboratories, and offices po. For the room physical protocol, it has already been discussed kanina rin po. No air conditioner, only fans will be used, open windows para po mas maganda po yung ventilation natin and to prevent yun nga, pag-transmit ng virus in case meron po tayong mga asymptomatic. There will be 2 doors for entrance and exit per classroom para hindi po sila magtitikit ang ating pong mga learners. There will be barriers, acrylic barriers for teachers, and traffic floor signages for ingress and egress all throughout the institution. Physical distancing will be observed. Katulad nga po na sinabi natin, may mga signages po at saka i-remind po ng ating mga employees, ang ating mga learners. There will be referral, reporting, and monitoring of students and employees with symptoms, and na-discuss na rin po kanina yung mga different scenarios kung kailan po natin i-refer at i-report sa LGUs whenever we have our either our learners or our employees or mga teachers po with flu-like symptoms. There will eating of packed snacks in the classroom or only in designated open areas. So yan po yung ating campus health protocols. Lockdown measures. So pagka meron po tayong isang estudyante or personnel na COVID-19 case in campus, magkakaroon po tayo ng lockdown, and then there will be disinfection of the school po to prevent surge within the institution. So quarantine and isolation of learners and personnels with flu-like symptoms. We will encourage online transaction for all school matters. Bystanders will be prohibited in the fetchers waiting area. Magkakaroon po tayo ng time ng mga susundo po. There will be staggered schedule of arrival and dismissal of learners, kasi doon po kapag isa po yung ating dismissal and arrival, magkukumpul-kumpul po rin sila sa hallway and also sa entrance po ng ating school. So we need everybody's cooperation and vigilance. So if a household member is exhibiting flu-like symptoms, meron po tayong table kanina kung paano po natin i-inform yung school para meron po tayong appropriate actions na gagawin. And sanitation, disinfection of classroom and common areas and offices. Again, meron po tayong mga disinfectants and ultraviolet equipment that will be used after each school day. As we have said earlier, meron po tayong UV light sterilizer, digital temperature reader, hands-free alcohol dispenser, aluminum sink hand wash station throughout the school, signages and reminders, acrylic barriers pag nagsasalita na po yung ating mga teachers, lapel kasi as you know, kapag malakas po yung boses ng teacher at saka mas natatransmit po yung mga aerosol with a possible virus. So by using lapel, aside from acrylic barriers, na we are decreasing up to zero the possibility of transmission. And then the footbath at the gate as well. So health services and school clinic, as you all know, it is managed po by a medical doctor and run by the school nurse. And we provide following health services that will be supportive sa health needs po ng ating mga learners whenever nasa face-to-face or nasa pumapasok na po sila sa school. So meron po tayong medical record keeping. We will have daily health monitoring, yung mga scanning and temperature check po. Sa gate pa lang yan. At saka yun, sa clinic kapag may mga symptoms. Please be assured that, rest assured that we have the first aid available and the school nurse is competent enough po to facilitate first aid whenever there's a need. There is annual physical examination to monitor the health progress of our students, our learners through the school doctor and school nurse, and the employees are all equipped to manage detection and isolation. Alam na po na nila yung protocol kapag meron po tayong mga symptomatic cases na nakapasok po or with exposure to the virus. Can we have the next slide? Yan. Is this still my slide po? Ito na lang. Okay. So, yan po. This is the table wherein we have discussed in detail kung paano po natin monitor yung health services ng ating mga students. And what we are doing from a medical standpoint to maximize the protection that the learners, that your children deserve whenever they go to our institution. So if there are questions po regarding how we handle medically, please keep them in mind, and mamaya po during the question and answer, we'll be happy to discuss it in detail.
Thank you so much, Dr. De La Cruz, for that remarkable talk. For our last topic, focusing on teaching and learning, it will be discussed to us by our two vice principals, Mrs. Maria Victoria Arcabuag for the preschool and grade school department, and Mrs. Edelita A. De La Cruz for the high school department. Let us start with the preschool and grade school department. Let me call on the vice principal, Mrs. Maria Victoria Arcabuag.
Ayan. Thank you, Ma'am Kim. Good afternoon po sa ating lahat. Today, my task is to partly discuss to you one of the operational frameworks for reopening schools. So, ang natask po sa amin ay focusing on teaching and learning. The school has been using the LMS, ito po yung Learning Management System, which is the Genio, for its distance learning for the past 2 years. This is supported by its online student portal and upgraded internet capacity to power its online capability. During this transition, the school shall be able to shift seamless to any of the different modality to ensure certainty of continuity depending on what the situation calls for. The school will continue to utilize the most essential learning competencies. Ito po yung MELCs ng DepEd, no? In this transition to create seamless learning experience in the flexible classes. Health and safety education will be integrated in the curriculum where physical exercises, COVID-19 prevention and management are emphasized. So these are the following po, potential modalities, no, the school shall undertake. So first one, we have the pure online class. So the students are attending virtual classes using internet and a gadget. Actually, ito po yung ginagawa nating taon. No? For 2 consecutive years, ito po yung ginagawa. So sabi nga din dyan po sa slide, This is what the school is doing under the strict quarantine classifications for 2 years now. This is done either synchronous, where all students are on camera engaged, and online simultaneously. So yun po. The second one is the asynchronous, where learners are performing tasks independently online but off camera. Dito po ginagamit ng ating mga anak yung LMS or yung Genyo, kung saan nagsasubmit po sila ng mga activities na binigay sa kanila ng teacher during their synchronous classes. This will also be utilized once campus closure is implemented or during highest level of quarantine or alert of the locality. Ito po yung nabanggit ni Sir Jun kanina, if ever magkaroon ng positive na sa mga personnel or sa learners, ito po yung mangyayari. Babalik po tayo sa pure online classes. Okay? The second one is the limited face-to-face classes. In this learning modality, the students will attend physically to school on specified days and time to perform assigned works. This has minimal interaction, observing strict health protocols to ensure the safety of everyone. So meanwhile, in the rest of the week, the students will shift back to online schedule and activities. This will be utilized under less strict quarantine or level alert. Ito naman po yung mix no, ng limited face-to-face. Ibig sabihin po, merong online classes pa rin po sila. Meron din po yung papasok sila sa school physically. So ito po yung mix, no. The third one is the high flexible. Ito po yung na-mention sa atin ni Sir Jun kanina that in our pilot testing, we will try to adopt this one, this modality teaching noon. Ito po. Ano po ba yung high flexible classes? In this modality, where parents who are not ready to send their children to school and attend face-to-face classes can decide to have their child attend online classes instead. So ibig sabihin po, kung ang parent ayaw pa na papasukin ang anak nila sa school ng physically, pwede po nilang, ito po yung mangyayari. Naka-online pa rin po yung bata. Meanwhile, the use of the LMS will be implemented and teachers will be facilitating virtual meetings and on-site classes simultaneously. So, sabay po, makikita ng mga bata using our Zoom, di ba po, nag-Zoom naman tayo. Using the Zoom, makikita ng mga bata na nasa bahay because of the through online classes, makikita na yung classmates nilang nasa school. Ganon din naman po yung mga bata na nasa bahay ay nasa school, nakikita nila through the Zoom yung kanilang mga classmates. So, habang si teacher po ay nagtuturo, so simultaneously po yun. Ayan. And the last one, modality, is the pure face-to-face classes. Ayan. Ito yung mga kinakatakutan po ng ating mga magulang pa, no? As of these days, no? So, this modality is the closest to the old normal. Yung dati po, before the pandemic, no? Though, under transition, the students will attend classes in limited time each day. So may oras lang po. May limit lang yung oras natin. Actually, later, Ma'am De La Cruz will discuss to you the time na binibigay for the face-to-face. Ayun po. Homeworks will cover the shortage of time every day. The use of technology will be utilized for the submission of outputs and other tasks deemed online appropriate. Ayan. And okay, so yun po, no? Now, let me share you the proposed schedule of high flex learning, o di ba? Social ni Corinthian School. High flex learning or the face-to-face and online classes simultaneously, no, of K2 and grade 6. So dito muna po tayo sa K2. This is the proposed schedule po. As you can see, magi-start po ang bata ng 10 o'clock or 10:10. Papasok sila sa school. Okay. So, unang pasok po, this will be the daily routine, which is the checking of attendance. Para lang po malinaw sa atin lahat, hindi po magiging alphabetically arranged ang mga seating arrangement namin. Applicable po yan mula preschool I think hanggang high school. Kasi kung sino yung unang batang pumasok sa school, papasok na po siya, uupo na siya sa last seat. Ayan, kasi meron dalawa po ang doors ng bawat classrooms ngayon na pin-repair namin. Ayun. Opo, sir, mamaya po. Ayan. Pangalawa po, the first, after po ng checking of attendance, which is part of the daily routine, we have the 10:20 to 10:40, the 20 minutes, the homeroom guidance. Ayan. So, kasama rin po yan sa DepEd na order po, no, na kailangan meron tayong homeroom guidance periods with the kids, with the pupils. Next, 10:40 to 11:40, we have the 60 minutes po. Kapag po ito po, no, kung mapapansin niyo po, yung may kulay po na, I don't know what color is that. Ayan, parang beige, no? Tama po ba? O parang ganyan, or pink, something light pink. Yun po yung papasok na sa school ang bata physically. So, ayan po yung face-to-face na tinatawag natin the high flex na meron tayo. So, ayan po, nakalagay po dyan, math ang subject po nila. Ayun. And after po ng math, which is 1 hour, bakit sa kabila, ma'am, meron pong another one? Kasi we're expecting 2 sections. Pero since po ang nag-yes po, nag-confirm ay nasa 9 so for the preschool, so isang section lang po. Ayan. So, pagdating po ng 11:40 to 12 o'clock, which is 20 minutes po, we have the mental health. At the same time, the break, no, yung recess time po. Kahapon na i-mention ko na po to na kung magpapa-recess po ang magpapadala ng food ang mga parents for this, para sa break nila, make sure po na naka-open na. I mean, kung nasa lunchbox po ng bata yung pagkain nila. Kasi sa preschool, ito yung mahirap po sa amin. Yung lalapit ang bata, teacher, please open. And hindi po kami allowed ngayon na humawak ng basta-basta sa ganong bagay ng mga pagkain po ng ating mga anak. So, sa mga nag-yes po na i-send sa physical face-to-face, the limited face-to-face ng Corinthian, ang anak nila, ito po. So, yun lang po isa sa mga pakiusap namin. And the mental health, it's parang hindi po siya academics. So, activities para medyo about yung mga konting may papagawa lang po, para naman yung mental health ng bata. Siyempre, sa panahon po na ilang taon silang nasa loob ng bahay. So, ito yun po, pambawi. Yan. Okay, next is the 12 to 1 p.m., which is the English. Ayan, dito na, especially sa K2, importante po yung writing skills ma-develop, no? Number 1 po yan. And at the same time, the reading skills din po. Kaya yun po. So, kung mapapansin po natin, sa kulay na yan, after po ng dismissal time, pag uwi po ng bata, mga 2 o'clock or 2:30, may oras po yung parent to parang communicate with the teachers. So, consultation period. So, kumusta naman po? Pag uwi po ba, okay yung bata? So, kayo po bilang parents, sabi nga, it is a shared responsibility. Inform nyo rin po kami na, ma'am, not feeling well yung anak ko, o next face-to-face, hindi po siya makaka-attend. So, i-inform do. So, magkakaroon po tayo ng communication. Communication is the key. So, importante po yun. And as you can see, dalawa po yung aking face-to-face na schedule dito. Tuesday and Thursday. Ayan. Okay, next. So, ibang subjects naman po, lilinawin ko lang po, both preschool and grade 6, ang mga teachers, isa lang pong teacher yan. Sa Tuesday, isang teacher lang. Pagdating po ng Thursday, isang teacher lang po. Ayun. Okay, next ma'am, next slide po. Ayan, ito naman po yung para sa grade 6, no? The high flex class program po for the grade 6. Ayan. So, 8 o'clock po ang pasok. Kaya yung nabanggit po ni Dr. De La Cruz, Dr. Elmer De La Cruz kanina, staggered po yung schedule. Hindi po sila magkukumpulan sa gate. So may schedule. I think the high school mamaya po, ipapa-discuss din po ni ma'am, ng vice principal nila yung schedule nila. So, huwag po kayo mag-alala na hindi katulad dati, pre-pandemic na ang daming tao sa labas ng school. Ngayon hindi na po dahil naka-schedule po yan. Ayan. Okay, so sa elementary, 8 a.m. po ang pasok, 8:20 homeroom guidance po. Again, ang to-check niyo po dyan, parents, yung Tuesday and Thursday. Okay? Again, 2 sections ang ginawa ko po na schedule if ever marami po yung bilang ng papasok. Kasi hindi may number lang po ng learners inside the room, no, yung required by the DepEd. So mamaya di-discuss nga po yan. Okay, so ayan. So 8 o'clock to 8:20, the homeroom guidance. And then after that, the 8:20 to 9:20, English, 9:20 to 10:20 Filipino, so 60 minutes po. And then 10:20 to 10:40 mental health break. Ayan po. Katulad din po nung sa preschool, ganyan din. So they are allowed to bring food, pero hindi sila pwedeng magkwentuhan habang kumakain. At nasa loob lang po sila ng room. Ayun. Okay, 10:40 to 11:40 for Tuesday po to, science, and then 11:40 to 12:30 noon ESP. Now, after po nun, i-dismiss na sila. Pero syempre, after the dismissal, para makumpleto po natin yung number of minutes per subject na required ng DepEd, pag uwi po ng bata, siguro yung break niya, pwede naman magiging asynchronous po yon. So, may gagawin sila sa bahay from 1 p.m. to 2:30 p.m. Ayan. So, anong gagawin? Ayan po, may mga nakalagay pong subjects doon. So, kung ano yung task na binigay ng teachers, assignments, or homework na dapat gagawin po nila yan sa oras na yon. Sa dulo po, mapapansin natin, 2:30 to 3 p.m., again, may 30 minutes na consultation period. Wherein, yun nga po, we need to talk about ano nangyari na sa bata pag-uwi. Yun. Kung kumusta naman po yung kanyang kalagayan, yung sitwasyon. So, all those things, pwede po natin gamitin yung time ng 2:30 to 3 p.m. as consultation period. Okay? Ayan. So, kanina po nabanggit ko na the preschool and the grade school, same as the senior and junior high school, we have different schedules for the face-to-face. Ayun. Okay. And ayun lang po. Ngayon, sabi nga, i-reserve niyo po yung mga questions niyo mamaya if you have questions about what we've discussed, no? And to discuss naman po, thank you so much muna doon. And to discuss the junior and senior high school class program and class schedule, as well as the technology implements, classroom capacity, and departmental face-to-face contact hours, and the other operational framework, including the most vulnerable, please help me welcome the Vice Principal of the High School Department, Mrs. Adelita A. De La Cruz.
Thank you, Ma'am Kabuag. Thank you, Ma'am Vicky. Parang wala na ako sasabihin, Ma'am. Na-discuss na lahat. Yes, good afternoon to our parents who are joining us in this Zoom meeting with the topic of the parents' orientation with regards to the pilot testing or the expansion of a limited face-to-face. We all know that for the past 2 years, lahat tayo naka-pure online. As discussed by our Vice Principal, she mentioned some of the platforms that Corinthian School use. Actually, one of the platform na ginamit ng Corinthian School is pure online. We are all aware of that, no? That all of us teachers and the learners are attending via Zoom, via Google Meet, LMS, Genyo, ayan. So in the limited face-to-face, na-discuss na rin kanina yung mga platforms just like the pure online, the limited face-to-face. In the limited face-to-face, as the definition, ano yon, no, there are schedule na ang bata hinahati or pinipili, or kusino voluntarily, kusino yung willing mag face to face, they will attend class, of course, in the school building or in the school. Pero yun po yung limited face to face. Now, in the high flex, simultaneously there are learners who are attending in the classroom in the school, and at the same time some of the learners, so half of the class, for example, are attending in their home, no? So voluntary din po 'yon, no? Kung sino lang po yung gustong umattend ng face-to-face sa school, sa Corinthian School, then ipapacilitate ng school 'yon. In whatever platform na ginagamit ng school, whether it is online o before the pandemic, the traditional face-to-face, lahat yan may challenges no? Kahit din tong high flex and limited face-to-face or pure online or pure face-to-face na, lahat yan may challenges. So the school is actually, the orientation this morning is to, to share to the community, to the stakeholders, most importantly sa ating mga learners at mga parents, kung ano yung plano ng school at ano yung path ng school, no? And of course, makasabay sa pandemic. Okay? So unang-una, yung school nag-participate yan hanggang sa elementary, yung ages 5 to 11 years old. Nag-facilitate tayo ng mga orientation sa vaccination rollout. Faculties and all employees of Corinthian School, lahat po kami vaccinated na. So, I know na naiintindihan ng mga magulang na yung drive ng Corinthian School na, to lead a community, na kaya natin to at gagawin natin, ipe-prepare natin lahat para ma-deliver namin kung ano ang dapat sa bata. Ang pinaka-importante po sa amin ay yung kung ano yung safe ng bata at syempre yung matututunan nila, no po. Hindi pinababayaan ng Corinthian School yung quality ng education kahit na in whatever platform na ginagamit namin. So let me share with you the Junior High School Flex Classroom Program. This is a proposed classroom program patterned of course in the DepEd memo of 1100 of 2022, no, limited expansion of face-to-face. So as you can see, 7:15 to 7:30, yan po yung pagpasok ng bata sa school, health and safety norms. Usually, nasasanay sila it's homeroom. But in the health and safety norms, gaya na sinabi ng ating Vice Principal, there's a checking of temperature, health declaration. Sinisigurado ng mga teacher natin yan. No, nag-orient na rin naman kami sa teachers. They know kung ano yung mga protocol at ano yung kailangan nilang i-check pagpasok ng mga bata. Alright, so Monday and Wednesday, there are only two days in a week na magkakaroon ng limited face-to-face for the junior high school. So mathematics, 7:30 to 8:30. Pero merong allowance po yan para yung transition ng susunod na teachers. Kasi yung susunod na teachers, kailangan niya rin ma-check yung mga estudyante niya bago siya pumasok sa klase. So this is only the sample proposed class program. If ever, we will be permitted to have or to facilitate the pilot testing of the face-to-face classes. Now let me proceed to after the face-to-face pumasok yung bata, as you can see in the class program, meron po siyang 1 hour na lunch break. So ibig sabihin, yung lunch break na yan, i-consume niya yan sa pag-uwi niya para pag-travel ng bata, pagbalik sa bahay, meron pa po kasi silang online classes. No? Makikita po natin tuloy-tuloy meron pa pong hanggang 2:50 ng hapon yung ating grade 10. So, makikita po natin walang chance yung bata na maglakwatsa, no, na ayan, mag-uwian, pwede na akong pumunta ng mall o hindi mo na umuwi. Kasi kailangan niyang umuwi dahil meron pa siyang susunod na klase. So, this is the sample of the HyFlex class program at the junior high school. We have also a sample class program for the senior high school, particularly in the ABM class. The graduating, the grade 12. So ito naman sila naman in 9:35 to 9:50 ang kanilang health and safety norms. Yan nga po, hindi sabay-sabay ang pagpasok ng mga bata at pag-uwi rin po. So ganoon din po yun. Merong actually 4 hours in a week, 4 hours in a day na meron silang face-to-face contact. Yung lunch break, gaya po ng sinabi ng ating Vice Principal, we do recommend na sana yung kakainin nila, yung madali na lang ba, yung hindi nila, kasi pag pumasok po sila sa classroom, wala na pong ano yun wala na pong labasan. Lalabas lang sila gaya ng kung kailangan nilang mag-CR, one at a time, yan. Alam naman na po ng mga teacher yung protocol at kung kailan pwedeng payagan yung bata na lumabas. Pero most of the time, kailangan lang po, as much as possible, kung ano yung umpisahan nila, kung saan sila umupo, doon na po sila hanggang sa matapos yung ating klase, the whole day. Actually, hindi man whole day po, so mga 4 hours lang po yan. So that's a sample of the HyFlex class program of the senior high school. Okay, so next part is the technology implements. Yan naman po lahat sa Corinthian School, lahat ng bata. For the past 2 years, gumagamit naman na ng technology talaga tayo. No? If ever lang po na may mga bata na kailangan ng help or ng aid ng school, aid from school na kung paano nila kung paano ma-facilitate yung teaching and learning, ay ginagawan po ng paraan ng school yan. There are actually some students who are not attending online. No? Minsan po, na-offline sila, pinadadala natin sila ng module, pinadadala ng worksheets ng advisor, ng subject teacher, ini-email sila, just to make sure na kahit hindi sila nakaka-attend o merong mga problem encountered with regards to their connections or internet, ganyan, failure, patuloy pa rin po, no, na nasiservisyohan pa rin o nadi-deliver pa rin yung teaching and learning dito sa Corinthian School. So, let me share with you the face-to-face contact hours in the preschool, 3 hours per day. For elementary and up to senior high school, that's 4.5 hours per day. For laboratory, kung may need po, lalo na sa ating mga STEM grade 12, yan, 2 hours per day. For library, but of course, we have a e-library naman po. They can borrow books through online. Pwede naman din po yun. Pero kung gusto rin naman po, the library is open and for a limited time lang po for operation of 2 hours per day. Okay? So just like I mentioned, tatlo lang naman ang kailangan natin tandaan dito, no? Unang-una yung bata kapag hindi nakaka-attend ng face-to-face, 2 years na ginagawa, alam na nila. Ini-inform nila yung teacher, no? Pag may sakit yung bata at hindi naka-attend ng face-to-face, ganun din po tinatawagan ng teacher, tinatawagan yung magulang, chine-check kung bakit hindi nakaka-attend. Ngayon, kapag nagkaroon din po tayo ng limited face-to-face, patuloy po yun. Lalo na yung mga bata na nahihirapan. Basta importante lang po, sinabi ni Ma'am Kabog kanina, yung communication, proper communication, nai-inform yung parent, nai-inform yung teacher nai-inform yung parents, yung progress ng bata, yung difficulty ng bata na encounter. Our guidance office is also facilitating a guidance class, yung mga ganyan, inaalam kung saan nahihirapan, and then nagkakaroon ng mga intervention if there's a need to have an intervention. Consultation, of course, before the examination, patuloy pa rin po yun. So whether it is, we will use we will apply a high flex classroom program, patuloy naman po yung mga services ng student activities natin. So, all right, this is discussed already by our principal, the informed consent, the details of the informed consent. I think there are some high school students who already submitted their informed consent signed by their parents. Kahapon po, meron na po tayong mga 12 na informed consent na na-receive. Nabasa naman po ng mga magulang yung details, yung mga risk. This is sample health declaration. Yan yung mga pipila pa ng bata. I-check nila kung ano yung mga nararamdaman nila, yung status nila pagpasok at pag-uwi, nakalag po yan sa school. So I think that's the end of my presentation. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Ma'am Vicky and Ma'am Eden, for all the significant information. Reminder lang po for the students, pupils, parents, and guardians, after our question and answer, you may fill out the Google form posted in our chat box for the attendance today. Thank you. Now, parents and guardians, this is the time for the question and answer. You may use our chat box if you have questions or clarifications about the topics discussed to us by our speakers.
Question po, ma'am.
Yes po, ma'am.
Regarding po doon sa graduation po nila na magiging face-to-face, any payments to be ihanda po namin payments kung ay within the TOGA, how much po, ma'am? Dapat po ba kaming bayaran?
Ma'am Den, okay. This is I think Mrs. Bartolome
High school.
is from grade 6. No, po, ayan. Although may high school po siya, pero I don't know kung grade 8 yung sa high school. Pero I think yung question ni Mami is for the elementary, for the grade 6. Opo. Magkakaroon po tayo, ma'am, ng separate meeting for that. Kasi the details or the guidelines for the graduation will be discussed on or before April 1. Yun po yung na-mention ko po. And as you can, if you will check the school calendar, yun po yung nakalagay sa atin is April 1. So on or before April 1, magkakaroon po tayo ng meeting. We will inform you. We will give you the details and the guidelines for the graduation. Ayun po. Included na po doon yung payment. Ayun. Maraming salamat po.
Thank you, ma'am. Another, ma'am, question. Sa face-to-face po ba, ma'am, ano po ang dapat isuot? Naka-uniform po ba sila?
Go ahead, Ma'am Vicky.
Okay. Hindi naman po galit si Mami, ganyan lang malakas ng boses. Hello po, Miss Bartolome. Ayan. Hindi po matagal na parent.
Ma'am, excuse, apo ko po kasi si Marietta kasi Ponce. Opo.
Yes po. Ayan po. Kasi from grade 1 na po sa amin yung bata. Wala pong uniform. Kung kasya pa po yung school uniform ng ating mga anak, pasuot po natin. Pwede po yun. Pero kung hindi po, hindi na po kailangan bumili. Lalo po yung grade 6. I think even the high school will agree, no? Kasi iba na po yung uniform nila the following year. Buwan na lang po ang pagitan.
Okay, yes, ma'am.
So hindi na po. Siguro yung damit lang po na alam naman natin yung dapat suotin pag pupunta sa paaralan. Yun. Ma'am Den,
Okay, ma'am. Thank you. Thank you, ma'am.
Let me just add po, with regards to the graduation this school year 21-2022, wala pa po tayong face-to-face graduation. Still will have a online graduation po.
Thank you po, Ma'am Eden and Ma'am Vicky. Thank you din po, Mrs. Bartolome, for that. Again, parents and guardians, if you have questions po, this is the perfect time po para sa ating mga tanong. Ayan po, so meron pong...
Yes, ma'am. Question po.
Yes po. Very good.
Regarding do sa waiver, paano po papadalan? Through email or through messages lang po? Para yung pipirmahan. Regarding do sa face-to-face.
Yes, sir. Ma'am Vicky, can I answer now the question? Okay. As much as possible, sir, we encourage to submit personally the health declaration. I mean the parent consent, because we need the signature of parent po na pirmado po talaga nila. So kahapon po may mga nag-submit na po sa school. Now, if ever po na hindi masasubmit, pwede naman po.
Ang tanong ko, i-send yun through email or?
Isasubmit po, sir, personally sa Corinthian School.
Hindi, ma'am, yung form. Wala pa kasi kaming hawak.
Okay. Yeah. It will be, ano po, it will be forwarded by the advisors, Ma'am Vicky, no?
Yes po.
Okay.
You will have a copy po, i-send po sa inyo. It will be sent by the advisor po, sir.
Yes po.
Okay, ma'am. Thank you, ma'am.
Thank you.
Thank you po, Sir Gabino. Ma'am, we have questions po in our chat box from grade 6 Rizal A. Tuparan, yun po bang na-discuss na face-to-face protocols and guidelines para po ba sa dry run lang po o para na po sa next school year?
Okay, ako sasagot kasi grade 6.
Okay.
Okay. Actually, hindi po. Para din na rin po siya sa face-to-face natin. Pero parang ang paaralan, sabi po kanina, di ba, ayaw nating maiwanan, adopt early. Ito po yung term kanina ni Sir June. So, uumpisahan po. Actually, after this, siguro po, with the permission of our principal, sa summer class po natin, uumpisahan na rin po ang face-to-face, limited face-to-face. So, tuloy-tuloy na po ito. Tama po ba ako, Sir June?
Yes, oo. Kasi para pagdating ng from today, this coming summer, and for the next school year, ay magagamit na natin yung natutunan natin this coming weeks. Kasi mas mahalaga po yung masanay tayo sa panahong katulad na ganito na hindi natin sigurado kung kailan magsasara ang school at kung kailan magbubukas. But we have to do this para masanay po tayo early on. But definitely we will adapt this kind of hyplex, no, for next school year if the alert level 1 will not change from day until next school year. Ganun na po tayo. So yun, maraming salamat.
Thank you po. We have po next question for junior high school. Lahat po ba ng junior high school kasama na po sa face-to-face?
Okay. Limited lang po. So as you can see, discussed earlier, yung maximum capacity ng ating building and ng classroom ay limited lang po. So kung yung may intention po yung bata na gustong mag face-to-face, I mean, gustong pumasok sa school, then i-schedule po natin yon. Pero we will still follow, of course, the required capacity of learners inside the classroom. Pero ang grade 10, ang junior high school, basta po na-approve po tayo sa ating pilot testing, i-open po natin to this coming school year. So magkakaroon po ng options yung mga magulang kung gusto nilang papasukin yung anak nila face-to-face o pure online pa rin. So yun po. Nasagot ko ba?
Opo. Thank you po, Ma'am Edel. Next question po from Kinder po ito, ma'am. Tama po ba na fully vaccinated lang po ang pwedeng mag face-to-face? Yan po.
Hindi po, open na po siya for, actually kung mapapansin po natin kung nakaantabay po tayo sa mga balita, no? Sinimula ng DepEd November pa po last year ang face-to-face, pero hindi pa po bakunado yung mga kinder noon. So kinder ang inumpisa hanggang grade 3. Ito po expanded lang po. So ibig sabihin po, allowed po sila. Ganun kasimple, allowed po. Pwede po kahit hindi vaccinated ang ano. Pero I think nabanggit po ng ating principal na for the higher level, sa mga teens, parang required na yata. Tama po ba, sir? Or hindi?
Yes, kasi we have to consider the speed of the program of the government, and we know that the vaccination for the small kids ay hindi pa masyado ganun kabilis at ganun kadami. Tapos ito na ngayon yung face-to-face program ng DepEd. So it goes to say na siyempre hindi mo pwede i-require sa lahat since the speed of the vaccination ng mga bata ay hindi ganun kabilis. But for the visitors, for the parents, for the grade 6, I think, high school and the senior high school required kailangan. Kasi alam natin na widespread na yung vaccination ng age bracket nila.
Thank you po, Sir June. Ma'am Vicky, for our next question po, senior high school about graduation po, asking po kung hindi face-to-face. I think po na-answer na po ito ni Ma'am Eden kanina.
Yes. We still have our graduation through online pa rin po. Salamat.
Yan po. Thank you po, Ma'am. From elementary po, for the next school year, we can choose which modality we want for our children. Yes po. Tama
Yes.
po, Ma'am Vicky.
Opo.
Yes.
Kasi we are offering po yung limited face-to-face and ang pure online kasi mangyayari siya kapag nagkaroon ng surge, no? Nagkaroon po ng mga lockdown yan. Yung pong high flex, yun po yung mangyayari sa atin. Na kahit yung mga batang nasa school at batang nasa bahay, simultaneous na natututo, no? Kasama yung teachers nila. Ayun. So, meron pong offer na ganun pa rin ang paaralan next year. Ayan,
Thank you po,
salamat
Ma'am. For our next question po, ano po kaya yung mga gamit na dadalhin kapag may face-to-face na po?
I think, Ma'am Den, sige
Yes,
po.
go ahead, Ma'am Vicky muna for elementary.
Okay, for the elementary, I think importante po yung books, no, na magdadala sila ng books. May mga materials naman po kasing ipo-provide ng school dito like the answer sheets, yung mga activities na sasagutin nila. Pero yung book po importante, especially for the preschool kasi para po makita natin. Sabi nga natin, ito yung na-miss ng mga bata na yung K2, yung pagsusulat. So, kailangan po, they need to bring the books and then iiwan po nila sa school yun. After nila sagutan, may iwan po yun. Ayun. So, ball pen or pencil, ball pen for the grade 6, for the 11. Huwag po kayo mag-alala. After po nito, magbibigay po kami ng details, no? Kung ano po yung mga dadalhin, even the schedule, we will send you the schedule. Ayun. So, yun po. Thank you.
Yes, of course, at kailangan dala din nila syempre yung PPE nila, no, the face mask and the alcohol. All the time, kailangan meron po sila niyan. Thank you, ma'am.
Thank you po, Ma'am Vicky and Ma'am Eden. From grade 6B po, pwede pa po bang sumali po sa F2F po?
Okay, ganito po, no? 12 po ang nag-yes out of 50 plus, no? 58 students ng elementary. And ang maximum capacity po ng ating room is nasa 20 eh. So hanggang 12, 13, pang 13 po basta po lang importante po kasi yung parent consent. Kahit po kasi nag-yes kayo sa survey ng school, yung Google form na sinend namin, kung hindi naman po kayo pipirma dun sa waiver, parent consent, hindi rin po yun pwede ang anak pumasok sa face-to-face. So importante po yun. So basta po mapirmahan yung waiver, okay po tayo sa elementary. Ayan. Salamat
Ayan
po.
Thank you po, Ma'am Vicky. Next question po, hanggang kailan po yung pilot testing po?
Sir Jun can answer the schedule.
Yes, this pilot program for the face-to-face, initially we're targeting March 21, and it will run for initially for 1 week. That will depend on the success and any observable concerns. Kung wala naman, it will run for 2 weeks. Kasi it's a pilot program nga para unti-unti tayong masanay kung ano yung mga kailangan nating gawin whenever there is face-to-face. So initially, March 21 will start. Tentatively 1 week, then it will progress to the second week. Pero hanggang 2 weeks lang po yun. After the second week, tapos na po yun.
Thank you po, Sir Jun. So that was the last question po in our chat box. I think po Mrs. Bartolome is raising hand po. Do you have additional question po ba, Ma'am Bartolome?
Hello, ma'am. Hello?
Yes po.
Another question, ma'am. Ask ko lang po kung kasi may mga bata pa lang na nakakaisang vaccine pa lang. Okay lang sila na umattend na face-to-face? Kahit 1 vaccine pa lang sila?
Yes po, na-mention na din po ni Ma'am Vicky kanina yung even po hindi pa vaccinated. If I am not mistaken po, Ma'am Vicky, yun po. Pwede po.
Pwede. Okay, thank you. Thank you, ma'am.
Ayan po. If may question pa po, chat na lang po sa ating chat box. I think po wala naman na pong questions or clarification. Okay po. Once again, I would like to say thank you to all of our speakers for today. I would also like to thank all the parents and guardians for giving us your time to attend our orientation for today. Indeed, everything will be successful at the end if we work with it hand in hand. This has been your host, Ms. Kimberly Dakara, saying, when there is teamwork and collaboration, wonderful things can be achieved. Thank you, everyone, and let us all stay safe.
Yes. Picture taking muna tayo. Ano mo, sir?
Sige po. Picture taking po tayo.
Paki-open po yung mga cameras. Ayan. For documentation purposes.
Ayan po. So I have 4 slides po. Please open po your camera. Ayan, thank you po. So smile na lang po tayo. First slide po. 1, 2, 3. Ayan, thank you po. Second slide po. Open po tayo ng camera. 1, 2, 3. Ayan po. Third slide. Yan. Third slide and fourth slide po, Ma'am Vicky. Most of them po naka-off na ng camera. Okay, third slide po. Okay, and the last slide. Okay po. Ayan po. Thank you so much po. Once again, everyone, thank you and let us all stay safe.
Bye-bye, teacher.
Ayun, bye-bye daw.
Bye-bye. Bye, teacher.
Bye!
Bye-bye, teacher.
Bye po!
Sabi mo bye-bye.
Thank you, Ma'am Kim.
Thank you po, ma'am.
Teacher Kim.
Thank you po.
Thank you po. Thank you, ma'am.